Hello and welcome back to the Fancy Cricket Coach for another week. Today we're looking ahead to game week 4 of the T20 Blast. We'll have a small look at how game week 3 went for people and then some transfers you might want to be looking at for game week 4 and things going forward. So from the top, let's get stuck straight into it with the team of the week for game week 3. And wow, what a team it was. Nearly 4,000 points in there. I wonder what the most amount of points a team of the week has ever gotten. But that is a pretty impressive team right there. Dawid Malan, Daniel Bell-Drummond, Sean Dixon, Joe Clark, Samit Patel, Dan Mousley, Jimmy Neesham, Anurian Donald, Mason Crane, Nathan McAndrew and Riley Meredith. Some big points in there. Anurian Donald, 455. I mean, almost 500 points is insane. What a week he had. Really, really well done from him. He smashed it. So well done if you had him. I know I did. I'm glad I stuck through with him through all the with the Ducks and low scores. So that's pretty nice. Another name on there, I think it's pretty nice. Dan Mousley back, looking pretty good too. Maybe not this week, but one to look at for future weeks. Someone you might end up wanting in your team. A good, very, very good player as it goes. And then finally, just the average batting score outclassing the bowling score there. And it's a trend we've seen for the last couple of weeks. But the bowlers not quite scoring as much as the batters at the moment, despite Mason Crane actually doing very well too. So that looked really good. The manager of the week this week goes to Justin Dickinson with a whopping 3,227 points. What a team. I mean, I think the biggest thing here is there was 3 players below 100 points. 3 blanks, really. But then he had 5 players above 300, and 2 of them he captain. That double captain googly on 2 300-plus players that's pretty nice. I'm sure he's had a pretty nice time with that. Looks like a great team, to be fair. Going forwards as well, looks pretty nice. So, well done. Great team there. He's also not even in the top 50 after that. It just shows how difficult the competition is this year, and going forwards, how tough it is. Not even in the top 50, so that's pretty tough. Moving on to some of the trends for game week 4. Looking ahead now, we've got the transfers in and out here. This week, I think it's really, really interesting, the transfers in this week. We have Jason Roy, Toby Albert, Sam Curran, Scott Curry and Luhandre Pretorius. All Surrey and Hampshire there, all the ones with triple fixtures, so that's pretty understandable. But some interesting names on there, such as Sam Curran, who was on the most sold list last week. I did say if you can bench him, you're going to want him back this week. He's going to be one of the popular picks this week. And yeah, a lot of people sold him, and here he is. And then one of my personal favourites, Luhandre Pretorius on there. I had him in my preseason team before he then turns out he wasn't playing at the start of the season, so I took him out. But he's an incredible player. I'll get to more on him in a bit, but a serious option for this week. And then a lot of good options in there too. Jason Roy, clearly people are enjoying his form at the moment, rewarding him with places in their team. So looks good too. On the transfers out, again, all the players with a single game week. Hayne, Briggs, Willie, Hughes, Safe, Zabe. So pretty fair enough. A lot of these players are fairly popular, but they haven't done quite as well as people thought, including me. I have 3 of these players, so lots of people getting them out. Briggs is on 293 points, Hayne on 439, Zabe on 274, and Hughes on 204. So not quite smashing it as much as people perhaps would have hoped. I think they're all fair enough, apart from one, really. I'm quite surprised that David Willey is being transferred out so much. I wonder kind of what the rationale is there. He's the top scorer in the game so far. Maybe people are just going differential. I imagine a lot of transfers are going from David Willey to Sam Curran this week. I'm sure a lot of those people getting rid of David Willey are just going straight to Sam Curran. Which, again, kind of makes sense. But I think you're going to want David Willey back from next week. I think that's just asking. That's 2 transfers. Get him out and then get him back next week. And if you can avoid that, you really should try. I'm quite surprised to see David Willey on that list. I understand it. I get it. He's an expensive player, only playing 1 game this week. But even in 1 game, he can really kick on and get some points. So interesting one there. Looking forward next to the fixtures for this week, and it's a little complicated, really. So many teams have single game weeks, which basically means in a lot of your teams you're going to have players who play single game weeks, and that's okay. You're going to have to play single game week players. That's just the way this week's going to look. But you've, I guess, got to minimise the amount you have. 9 of the top point scoring players this season have a single game week. They'll be super popular this week. So to have no single game weeks in a team is quite surprising. So that's okay. And then with triples this week, Hampshire and Surrey on top, looking to transfer them in, really. There's no really way around it. They look like the best teams. It's Hampshire particularly. Surrey have a blank. Sorry, have a single next week. So Hampshire in particular look really good, but Surrey also have a lot of value in there. So James Vince and Sam Curran probably top that targeting list. If you have a route for them, get them. They look great. I wouldn't be surprised if it came to the end of the game week and they're on that team of the week. They'll probably be in there, in and around there. They look super good for the moment. Jason Roy is in surprisingly good form too, also a good option. And then there's some Hampshire batters such as Toby Albert and Del Brevis also look pretty good, have done pretty well so far, so they look nice. And then for the budget options there, you're probably looking at Ollie Sykes or Yusuf Majid, but their playing time looks a little shaky as well. Sykes is probably the better option out of those two there. But you know, he's not done very well so far, so I would try and avoid them unless you really want to go there, or you really need to, or you know, you need that enabler. Above that, it's probably Toby Albert, who also looks pretty good too, so that's a fine option. And then yeah, just go for those Hampshire players. I think they're a great time to buy now, long term, buy them for the rest of the season. They've got good fixtures, so that looks pretty good. And then the potential targets, I think two people that look pretty good. This week, Luhandre Pretorius and Scott Curry. Luhandre Pretorius, 19-year-old South African. He looks gun. He averages less than 30 in T20 cricket, but at a strike rate of 150. And in this SA20 this year, he struck at 166. So, you know, he's fairly inexperienced, but a lot of potential in there. He scored 44 from just 22 balls in his first game this year for Hampshire. So if that's anything to go by, get him in. If you can, get him in. I think maybe he blanks, maybe he doesn't do that well, but I think the potential is there. He could do so well. He could take this competition by storm. And I'm really excited to see him play tonight, really. So I'm going to get him in, going to keep him in that, see how he goes. Scott Curry, another Hampshire player making this list. Obviously, they're the ones to target this week. Top scoring for them this season. He's done really, really well so far. 8 wickets at 17 with an economy of 8 is pretty damn good. He's been their strike bowler. So, you know, another good option to bring in for the long term. Fairly cheap too, so can kind of act as a quasi-enabler as well. You know, looks pretty good there. And then moving forward, the game week 3, my game week 3, how did my game week 3 go? Points-wise, you know, not fantastic. It's a bit of an air week, a bit of a small red arrow, 1,800 points in there. It's not terrible, just outside 1k for the week. Not quite where I wanted to be, but that's okay. I can sort of deal with that. It's not a terrible game week. And if you look at my team here, you can see where it went wrong, really. It was that captaincy. Captain Hayne. Last week I spoke about my 3 options were Donald, Kellaway or Hayne, and I was going to pick one of them to captain. And, I clearly picked the wrong one. Went with Hayne. If I picked either of the other two, it would have been a really nice green arrow and a very successful week. Just frustrating. He's done so well so far, and then the one week I captain him, well, that's just how fantasy goes sometimes. But a little bit of frustration there. Overall, team did fairly well. You know, Aldridge didn't play because of Neesham coming into the team. Neesham actually looks like quite a good pick as an all-rounder too, but Aldridge not playing is a bit frustrating. Smale in there, pretty happy. I've stuck with him all season long, so happy he returned. And Donald as well, highlight of the week, smashed it, super happy. I've stuck with him through all the bad times, and now I've got the rewards, so that's pretty nice to see. Really, so moving forward, game week 4, what are my transfers? My team currently set up here. You can see the list view of my team. It's pretty bad with no transfers or substitutions. This is what my team's going to look like. 13 fixtures. That's really quite terrible. It's not in great shape moving forward. So I'm going to have to take some hits this week. I'm going to have to, you know, change this team around and, you know, dip into those penalty transfers to try and make some changes. So here are my game week 4 transfers for the week. I've started basically by removing the players that really had to go, you know, the top transfers out, go first, really, and then go from there. So Safe Zabe to Will Jacks is my first transfer. Zabe has not done nearly as well as I would have hoped for the start of the season. I think his game involvement has just been down a fair amount, and he hasn't really been bowling. So, you know, I'm now looking for an all-rounder this week. And the obvious option here was Sam Curran, to be fair. But then when I saw that Will Jacks was available and playing at the moment after that West Indies series is over, he's only selected by 2.5% of people. And so he really is a differential, and he's such a good player. He can go incredibly well. We've seen what he can do in T20 cricket. We've seen him in the blast for many years. We've seen what he can do in international cricket recently. He's got a career strike rate of 155 and just really great game involvement. Likely to bowl overs for Surrey as well, so there's good game involvement in there, and I think there's a lot of good reasons to get him in. this week over Curran. Curran looks like a good option, don't get me wrong, and that could backfire. But I have to take some sort of risk to get up these rankings. So I'm going to go with Jax this week. Next up, Casey Aldridge out for Ollie Sykes. As mentioned, Aldridge not playing for Durham at the moment. He's a must-sell. He's got to go. He goes to Ollie Sykes, who I didn't really want to bring in, but he's so cheap. And I hope if he keeps playing, maybe he can pick up a couple of points across these 3 games. I'm not really expecting much from him, to be honest. With a lot of expensive players in my team at the moment, I needed that budget enabler. So it's more of a functional transfer, really. And I know that, well, Jamie Smith and Ollie Pope will be going off to the test match arena as well. So hopefully he will be set in that team for now. We'll see how that goes. Maybe some points, hopefully, from him. So next up, Sam Hain out for Luandre Pretorius. Sam Hain with a single game week, fairly expensive. And to be honest with you, after his disaster as my captain, I've kind of just got a personal vendetta against him to get him out of my team. I don't want to see him anymore. So he goes out. Luandre Pretorius comes in. I've spoken about him already. Class player, really exciting. And I think now is a really good entry point for him as well. Potentially for the rest of the season if he does well. Now's a great time to buy him. So I think that's a nice one for me. George Scrimshaw out for Scott Curry. Scrimshaw's actually done pretty well so far. Only 4% owned. He's averaged 66 points per game for me. So I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest with you. And you know, with only a single game week this week, I kind of have to move him on. But I like what he's done so far. Scott Curry I've also spoken about, where when I'm looking for a bowler this week, I think he tops the list with the form, the price and the fixtures. He's first choice this week, I think. So that is a pretty straightforward transfer too. Finally, Gazanfar out for Ben Dorcius. Again, not really a transfer I particularly wanted to make, as Gazanfar, has done pretty well for me as well. But you know, he's not been out this world. He's not done incredibly, and he sort of ticks over nicely. But he only has 1 fixture, and he's got to go. In comes Dorcius, who I've been pretty impressed with so far, averaging 73 points a game. He's more of an all-rounder, even though he's down as a bowler in the game. So it's pretty good value there. He's by far and away the top-scoring bowler in the game. Well, top-scoring, run-scoring bowler in the game. Batting at 7 in a struggling Rapid side. Looks like he could be pretty good for the rest of the season. I like the way he's playing at the moment. Hopefully he comes in. Hopefully he'll go well. So my Game Week 4 team is going to look like this. This is the setup for Game Week 4 with a couple of players coming in off the bench. Vince, Singh and Darcy Short give me some extra fixtures in there as well. And that leaves me with only 2 players playing a single game week, which is pretty nice. Those players are Willie and Donald, who are both in good form. And even one game from them can make huge points. So I'm kind of okay with those being the only 2 single game weekers. So I'm pretty like the setup of this team. Some weaknesses in there. You know, there's clearly some weaknesses in there. Double Hampshire batting. You know, if they're on a bowling friendly pitch or the bowlers are good, that could be pretty rough. Double Worcestershire bowling. Again, if they're on a batting friendly pitch or got some good openers, that could also be pretty rough. No Sam Curran, which I've spoken about. Ollie Sykes in that all-rounder slot. I mean, that could be any batter really, but I don't like not having 4 all-rounders. That's something I'm going to have to look at. I'm going to have to correct in future weeks. I think for this week it's okay, but going forward I don't really want Sykes taking up an all-rounder slot in there. And then on the bench, just all of my Glamorgan players really, who only have 1 game this week. They're all fairly cheap, so I can really bench them, to be honest, just this week. And that should be okay. But again, something I need to sort out for the coming weeks. I don't really want my bench looking like this going forwards. But that's okay. For now, all good. And then captaincy, I've gone with Jax. A bit of a differential pick at the top of the Surrey lineup. He'll bowl a little and he could go really, really big this week. It's really exciting stuff. I'm considering that double captaincy this week too. It either has to be now or in game week 7 when the last 2 triple game weeks are. But I think I might save it for them, as the only other options I'd consider now are Vince or Pretorius. And after the whole Haven fiasco last week, I sort of want to avoid captaining batters at the moment. So hopefully in Game Week 7, there are a couple of obvious strong picks there. But Jax looks pretty good, pretty strong play this week. I think he could be a great differential, boost him up those ranks. I like the way he plays. I like his look. Could be pretty nice. So I'm looking forward to that. So overall, pretty happy with the makeup of the side. Considering what it could have been with my issues, I think I've come out pretty well with a nice side. Lots of exciting players in there that could score huge points. A lot of low-owned players as well. A bit of an attempt to shoot up the rankings, but like the way it looks, looking good this week. Thank you very much for watching. That is all for today. Good luck with your game weeks. I hope it goes well for you. And thank you very much for watching. Speak soon.